Every kid had a tradition in their childhood, a sacred oath that they upheld every Saturday morning. Cartoons. No matter what they liked to watch, parents could always find their kids glued to the screens of an animated show, typically a superhero show that captivated them throughout the morning. However, as some superhero shows grew to fame, others either didn't age well or were used poorly, resulting in poor reception. Welcome back to FilmShack. Today, we prepared for you the 10 worst animated superhero shows. Number 10. Teen Titans Go!
Whoa, ladies, please! Allow us.
Are you serious?
What kind of gentlemen would we be if we didn't handle this ourselves?
The cutesy animation should make it clear that the targeted age demographic for this show is fairly young. Still, this in no way excuses the annoyingly infantile Teen Titans Go. As bad as many shows were in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, at least they tried to have some sort of plot. Teen Titans Go seems to be purposefully nonsensical. Instead, it focuses on mind-numbing silliness. After all, they're just kids, right? It's even more shocking that this show debuted in 2013. You'd think that shows like this would have learned from the mistakes of the past. Couple that with the fact that there was a far better Teen Titans show in 2003, and it's a real head-scratcher. Please, do yourself a favor and show your kids 2003's Teen Titans instead of this face-palming doppelganger. Number 9. Avengers United They Stand.
Let us improve the odds. Wings of destiny, change!
It's hard to believe that the first animated series to feature the Avengers didn't include many of the original members. Iron Man and Captain America were only in a handful of episodes, while Thor and Hulk were never in it at all. In this version, Hank Pym, Ant-Man, was the leader of the Avengers. The rest of the cast included Wonder Man, Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, Vision, and Wasp. The animation wasn't great, but the costumes were even worse. The show was developed by the same studio responsible for Power Rangers, and this showed in the costume designs. The characters were almost unrecognizable. The voice acting was laughable, with Scarlet Witch having the most ridiculous stereotypical Russian accent. The plot lines were a mess. The series could never seem to figure out what it really wanted to say. This was one of the many shows that seemed entirely interested in selling toys. Thankfully, Avengers, Earth's mightiest heroes, redeemed this disappointing attempt. Number 8. Superhero Squad.
Well, Mr. Bitterpill, who are you?
You know who I am, the man you stole the Soul Stone from, Adam Warlock.
Marvel's Superhero Squad is almost like the equivalent of DC's Teen Titans Go. It's aimed for young children and doesn't have a lot of substance. The animation is light and cutesy. For some reason, every character has a bulbous head and a small frame. Even Wolverine looks way too cute to harm a fly. The villains aren't very villainous either. They, along with everybody else, seem to have the attention span of a gnat. When there's a scene featuring Warlock and Thanos annoying each other while lying in bunk beds, like kids from a family sitcom, you know something's wrong. The one thing that this show has going for it was that it would introduce a lot of random Marvel characters that you typically wouldn't see in other Marvel shows. Number 7. Super Globetrotters. The basketball comedy stylings of the Harlem Globetrotters are well known today, but in the 1970s, they were a media sensation. They were found everywhere, from Scooby-Doo to Gilligan's Island. It almost makes sense that they were a superhero team. Almost. The 1979 Super Globetrotters series featured the team moonlighting as world-saving heroes, a formula so bad it's an amazing treasure. The heroes used basketball-specific powers to combat evil. For some reason, evil always wanted to stake everything on a basketball game with the Globetrotters. Not the Super Globetrotters, mind you, but the regular ones, who scored 0 points against their opponents in the first half of the game. Every episode, the entire world was shocked when the Super Globetrotters emerged from the Globetrotters locker room and won the day. To its credit, the series featured some creative character designs for villains and heroes. Less to its credit were names like Spaghetti Man and, Aquaman. Number 6. Wildcats. Wildcats was based on the Image comic series created by Jim Lee and Brandon Choi. Those names you just read are pretty much the only good thing about this series. It's likely that Wildcats tried to capitalize on the popularity of the X-Men, but failed horribly. The characters look like the characters from the comic, but the animation is clunky and weird. There were also several changes made from the comic that made no sense. The plot was convoluted and explained badly. The voice acting was a whole new level of bad. Wildcats also has the unfortunate honor of having some of the worst dialogue in the history of animated superhero TV, with lines like, "I'm large and in charge." It's easy to see why Wildcats lasted only one season. What a shock. Number 5. Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing! You are amazing!
Swamp Thing is another comic character that has never had good treatment on TV or in film. The Swamp Thing animated series is as bad as it gets. The studio's desire to sell toys is so painfully obvious here. They did not give a damn about doing justice to the characters or the comics. Instead, more one-dimensional characters were added for some reason. The characters Tomahawk and Bayou Jack were nothing more than painful stereotypes of Native and African Americans. Swamp Thing himself was nothing more than a friendly, dumb monster. The villains were lame, but not as lame as the show's theme song. The show took Jimi Hendrix's classic, Wild Thing, and switched the lyrics to Swamp Thing. It's like nails on a chalkboard. Swamp Thing only lasted a paltry 5 seasons. Leave this show in the swamp. Number 4. Pride of the X-Men.
X-Men! X-Men! It's the day! It's the day! X-Men! X-Men!
It's hard to jump to this after reflecting on the magnificent Justice League/Justice League Unlimited series, but here we are. At first glance, you might look at the animation of this series and think that it might be good, but you'd be wrong. This 80s version of the X-Men was very bad. So bad, it only lasted 1 episode. The acting isn't that bad, though it isn't that great either. It's just that the voices are miscast. Everyone sounds off, with the exception of maybe Storm, but no one sounds more off than Wolverine. For some reason, the studios gave Wolverine an Australian accent. It just seemed that the studio thought that Canadians must sound like Australians. The whole episode plods along and has a strange and unsatisfying conclusion. Pride of the X-Men is perhaps best known for its mishandling of Wolverine, but the show goes down as one of the biggest animated superhero failures of all time. Number 3. The Kids Superpower Hour with Shazam.
Shazam!
Billy becomes Captain Marvel, mighty champion.
In the days before Hogwarts, Hero High was a refreshing concept, but this show managed to mix itself into an incredibly confusing pudding. The Saturday morning series was one part Shazam cartoon, which was slow-paced but occasionally involved genuine superheroic action. There were also short cartoons about a cast of juvenile heroes studying at Hero High. These were extremely uneven and felt like Archie Andrews' friends working as superheroes. They even had their own Reggie Mantle in the form of Rex Rotten. The Hero High kids fought occasional villains, but mostly spent their time sabotaging each other. If the show had only divided its time 2 ways, things might have been okay. However, the show included a segment's worth of live-action stand-up comedy routines from adult actors dressed as the cast of Hero High, acting out half-baked skits, again reminiscent of Laugh-In. The overall result was disjointed and hard to follow, promising payoffs that never came. Number 2. Inch High Private Eye.
Inch High Private Eye!
Oh look, Gadget's other half. After Get Smart was ended in 1970, the show's star and his incredible voice had trouble finding other work. An opportunity of sorts materialized in 1973, Hanna-Barbera's Inch High Private Eye. The series was sort of a Doll Man meets Inspector Gadget meets Scooby-Doo, as the titular detective wandered into random criminal conspiracies alongside his teenage niece, her boyfriend, and her dog. Being tiny is almost a superpower, but like Junior from Young Heroes in Love, Inch High couldn't grow. He was slightly stealthy as a result, but mainly solved crimes by showing up in time to claim the credit. Inspector Gadget would appear in 1982, and like Inch High, would sport a trench coat, rabid incompetence, a helpful niece, and Don Adams' voice. Number 1. the Super Friends. The Super Friends was one of the greatest betrayals of incipient superhero fans. In later incarnations, however, the misnamed Justice League later faced enemies like Darkseid and the Legion of Doom. In its first season, it was mostly superheroes hanging out with nerdy teenagers. Marvin and Wendy weren't the cool kids of nerdy teenagers either. The Scooby Gang wouldn't have returned their calls. They wore blankets as capes and named their canine Wonder Dog. For some reason, this entitled them to Superman's, Batman's, Robin's, Wonder Woman's, and Aquaman's undivided attention. Inexplicable to children and adults alike, the adolescents led the Super Friends into adventures facing a guy wearing too many clothes on a hot day, and similar mysterious menaces. Okay, that episode was actually about global warming, decades before it was a thing, which almost seems precedent now. Even so, non-menaces like the Balloon People from Balloonia plagued the series, and completely one-note villains, like King Plasto, anticipated the worst elements of shows like Captain Planet. The Super Friends stank, y'all. We would like to invite you to share your opinion with us. Do you agree with our list? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notifications bell. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Bye!